Good morning, Bev.
Morning.
Is it going to be a hot one there today?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How about where you're at?
Cottage Grove. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't check the weather today, but I bet it's going to be 80 or something. Whoops. No, wait a minute. Admit. I almost muted somebody when I meant to admit them. Oh, Angela Lopez from Rotary International is joining us too.
I think yesterday it was like 90 something here. My
Yeah,
sister
it was 90 something here too. It's like I had to turn on my air conditioning the last couple of days. I usually try to just open the windows in the morning, cool it off, and then, close everything up and shut the shades on the sunny side of the house. And that usually helps. But boy, if it's getting up in the upper 90s, it's like, no.
Right.
Morning, John.
Hi,
Hi,
good morning.
Angela.
Yeah.
So we are we are now 4.
And we got another one coming in. Sharon from Montague, our California person. Got Arizona. Is it hot in Arizona, Angela?
Yeah.
Hey, it's been hot here. We're all complaining, so you might as well ring in.
Well, let's see here. It's not, our 90 degrees is not your 90 degrees.
Right. It's dry.
It's a dry heat.
It really is. I know that's what the people say, but it really doesn't get terrible until it's like 105. But it's going to be 100 today. But we have the air conditioning on. If it's over 95, we put the air conditioning on. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's see. Bruce Reese is coming in. Oh, you're in. You're here. And Jill Tompkins, who I got to meet in person at the district celebration. She's a real person. We were laughing that we've known each other for like 4 years and never met.
Oh.
We're on Zoom.
how many people do you figure were at the conference?
I heard 120 or maybe 150.
What's been the usual attendance?
More. It wasn't it wasn't attended very well. I was making a lot of copious notes about, because in 2 years, or 2 or 3 years, or however long it is, that's going to be my conference. So I'm going, I got to start looking at these conferences and all of these events from a new perspective. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you're just going and attending and going, oh yeah, the food was good. Okay. Yeah. I got to see my friends. Oh, that's la-di-da. But when you're going, okay, what could I learn from this?
I thought Dr. Johnny was fabulous.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he?
Boy,
and
what
so
a treat.
was the blind woman.
Yeah, she was amazing. She was just
her perspective of her 2 voices in her head. One was hopeless and one was hopeful. And the way she contrasted those 2 voices, we all have those same 2 voices, right?
at least 2.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I talked to Dr. Lake after the conference, and he said that I asked him if he would consider making a trip to visit, if we could put together, like 4 or 5 clubs. He would be willing. So that's something to.
Very good. Where's he from then?
Well, he got his, I know where his degrees are from.
Me too, but I don't know where he lives.
But I'm not sure where he lives.
Yeah. Well, I loop me in on that one, because I, try to make use of his skill set.
The other piece that I was working with is, so the apartments are over here.
Yeah.
So this needed to be quiet. This needs to be quiet.
Sounds
like Bruce is sharing his wisdom.
I think that was Raymond, and I muted him, and maybe it was Bruce.
Okay.
Yeah. I think are you Raymond? Am I going to see you tonight? Yep. I'm going down for the Medford's 100th anniversary party.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the cake with 100 candles.
Right. Thank you for making that drive.
So,
oh yeah. Now who's talking? Okay, well, I usually start at 4 after, and it's only 9 of us, but I'm going to, I guess nobody else is burned out, or they're so burned out that they're out on the golf course burning out farther. So summertime is like that, and I realize that. So Raymond was going to do a program that he came up with. Is really going to be exciting. And so now you're going to have to wait for a month or two to find out what that was about. But he decided, trying to juggle his event tonight, his big anniversary party, and our program is just a bit much. So then I went back to the poll that we did, and the number one thing was rekindling member burnout. And I thought, well, that's topical all the time, isn't it? It's like burnout.
Rekindling.
It's not, huh?
That's usually used with a favorable impression. Rekindle, you rekindle something that you want, but
Yeah.
burnout.
Well, burned out members, you want to rekindle them. Although when they're
Yeah.
burned out, it's like you're adding fire to the fire. I don't know. Anyway,
Well,
that's
you also fight fire with fire. Maybe that's too much importance to words, I guess.
I'm gonna have to get you, John, to do one of the programs, and then, well, it's fun coming up with titles. I have more fun with that than the whole program. No, I don't. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see who's here. Host. Nobody else except for me. Okay, I'm going to have to make a mental note to make sure that I notice if somebody sneaks in and I let them in. But in the meantime, let's get this party started. Okay. Now, here, and then get out of there. Stop that. Slideshow. And from the beginning. Now, can you see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Rekindling burned out members. So I've got like 18 slides, and half of them are just silly pictures and stuff, but just wanted to get us
Well,
thinking
that's a good
about
idea. Yeah.
burnout. And it's not just for Rotarians, but it's a good topic in general. And it seems like it got talked about a lot during COVID, but I don't think COVID invented burnout. Burnout is something that we do, especially being a lot of us are of Northern European blood, and it's like keep a stiff upper lip and never let them see you sweat, and just push. So first question is, what is burnout? This is where you
can't do it
answer.
anymore.
Huh?
You just can't do it anymore.
Can't do it anymore.
Lack of energy.
Yeah, lack of energy.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable like it used to be.
Right.
I
One
feel
more.
guilty sometimes because I think I should be doing something, but so guilt comes along with it. But it's just the more burned out you are, the less you do, and the more guilty you feel.
So it sounds like a cycle. Well, so I had to start it, just looking at what burnout is to the phrase really is burning until the fuel is exhausted. So everything what you guys just said that's what it is. Your fuel, your energy is just exhausted because you just burned everything until it's gone. Or to cause a failure of an electrical device through overheating, and that's another way of looking at burnout. But the burnout in the way that we're thinking about it is that empty feeling, that exhausted feeling, devoid of motivation and beyond caring. In fact, there's somebody that's in our club that keeps using the phrase, I'm so over fill in the blank. And I'm so over this, or I'm so over Rotary, and I'm so over my job, and that's just, that feeling is beyond caring. It feels like you're just, everything's crashing in on you and you're just alone and you're the only one in the world that feels this way when you know you're not, but still it's just like, oh my gosh. John, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I think the conditions for burnout vary from person to person.
Sure.
Some of us might have same conditions, but there's a difference between people. What has burned them out or what they are afraid will burn them out. It's really difficult and probably not a good idea to judge too freely from the outside whether someone is or is not or is at risk of.
The first thing that's important is I love to collect quotes, and Ben Franklin has one that's kind of a favorite of mine. He says there are three things that are really hard: diamonds, steel, and understand yourself. And you're right, John, we are all different, but sometimes we can see burnout in other people better than we can see it in ourselves. But I want to talk about this after my little slideshow is over, just to keep, just because I want us to kind of look inward at our own self. So then they tell you what to do for burnout. Here's your typical, wait a minute. Oh yeah, here's the way you make it worse. You judge yourself, Joe.
Yeah.
Like you said, you judge yourself. I shouldn't be feeling this way. Or you judge the way it is. This way is really ticking me off. It's a judgment call instead of just a, hey, this is the environment that I'm working in. And I'm feeling burned out, but you're not in touch with that. You're just judging everything else. Maybe you're trying to push through the burnout. And when I'm talking about you, I'm starting there, but we can transfer this to our members, okay? As leaders, that you need to think about this way. And you might see other people still just trying to push through. You can see they're burned out, but they're trying to push through it. And then here's an interesting one there was a TED Talk I found. A couple of twin sisters were being interviewed. The title was something like How to Relieve Burnout or something like, and it says, and self-care isn't the answer. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And this one woman that's a psychiatrist, I think, psychologist, one of those, said that sometimes we think relaxing will help. And she made a really good argument by why, no, that's not the answer. So anyway, I want to tell you a bit about this. Half of the fun for me when I'm coming up with these programs is to do homework myself, because stress started, you think of the fight or flight scenario. You got your Uncle Charlie here. He's one of your relatives, and he was a caveman, and he's being snuck up on by this saber-toothed tiger. The saber-toothed tiger is sneaky right now, but pretty soon Charlie's going to notice that there's a saber-toothed tiger sneaking up on him, right? And what's he going to do? What's his two options?
Fight or flight.
Thank you. I knew you all knew it, and everybody's mute, like, oh, I don't want to be the one to have to say it. So much word.
I wouldn't consider flight an option.
Huh?
I wouldn't consider flight an option, and he's.
Yeah, I know, he's kind of close. How fast can you run? How close is your cave? But anyway, fight or flight. And this goes back to the comment that relaxing doesn't help. When we're stressed, when we're feeling burned out, the last thing Uncle Charlie needs to do right there is just, oh, relax. It'll go away. No, that's the last thing he's got to do. He's got to do the opposite of relax. He's got to exert some energy. He's got to yell, scream, scare the saber-toothed tiger off. and he's got to run. He's got to exercise. He's got to move. He's got to tense up his body. He's got to stop thinking about digestion and all of the other things. He's just got to go on autopilot and get the heck out of that situation, which is the exact opposite of relaxing. But when we think about burnout, we think, oh, I just need a day off so I can relax. That's probably maybe not the answer. So I thought that was kind of interesting just to compare it back to our Charlie caveman. Burnouts, well, you can read this. We all have personal boundaries. And sometimes we're taught or we think that we don't have to have respect for our personal boundaries. Everybody else's boundaries are the important ones. Kids go to certain colleges because that's what mom said to do, or the spouse wants this, or the club wants that. And understanding your own personal boundaries is really important for you to control how you feel. And same goes for your members. You have to understand that. So then there's addressing burnout 1.0. This is the basic stuff that I imagine, because you're here and because you're good leaders of your clubs, that you already do these. You set realistic expectations and you provide training and support so that people know what they're supposed to be doing, and they have the resources that they need. And then you recognize and appreciate all their contributions. And that's all really great and good. But still, people, that might not be enough, right? And so they might just feel like they're burdened down and there is no hope. And that is that exhaustion feeling that we don't want. So then there's addressing burnout 2.0, offering more flexibility and accommodations to meet member needs. And what do you have to do before you can meet member needs?
Meet your own needs.
And know what they are for that other person, finding
Yeah.
out what it is.
Going back to what John said, they're not all the same, are they? And do encourage self-care. So when I'm saying self-care in this approach, I'm saying not go home and relax, but encourage people. You know, we all need to encourage ourselves and each other to keep ourselves, you know, when the oxygen masks drop down out of the jet plane, what do they tell you to do? Who do you put that oxygen mask on first?
Self.
Yeah,
Yourself.
Right.
Then you can go help everybody else. So you do have to help yourself. You have to keep yourself fit and healthy and mentally, you know, stable so that you can lead the club and address the burnout that might be going on in your club. Sometimes we try to avoid being this human because, you know, it's just so much of a hassle to acknowledge our feelings and other people's feelings. It's just, have you ever heard people say, well, just buck up, you know, it's just like, build a bridge and get over it, you know.
Keep calm and carry on.
Exactly, you know, and what are we telling ourselves? We're saying your human feelings don't matter. And yes, they do. If we're running a volunteer organization that depends on our volunteers and ourselves to run this thing, to lead, to leverage our abilities and our times and treasures to make the biggest impact in the world, we can't have a bunch of burned out people. We can't have burned out leaders, and we can't have burned out members. So this picture reminds me of Rotary. What's the guy, the taller guy? What's he doing?
Is he pushing down or is he pulling up?
That's my question.
Was he laying on hands?
What's he doing? As a Rotary leader, are we pushing down or are we picking up those burdens? Are we saying buck up? Are we saying,
Here's more.
the last chair had 4 meetings every year and you're only having 2? That picture to me just kind of sums up what I'm thinking about burnout and what the leader's responsibility is what are we doing as a leader? And think about Rotary in general.
You're not supposed to care about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you're doing for our club, what you're doing for humanity, what you're doing for the world and our community is more important than you. Is that really what we want to think?
No, that's a recipe for disaster.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I got at Blue Denim, which is sort of the PETS program for district governors, how to, grow up and be a district governor. I got into a really interesting conversation with a Canadian going to be district governor about this very phrase, because it bugs the heck out of both of us. But everybody else is just talking about it like, yeah, that's our motto. And in 1980, the motto came about in 1950s or so, where there was this motto and one that says, he profits most who serves best. That was the other motto. But in 1989, they dropped the other one, and this became Rotary's main motto, principal motto, because of the philosophy of unselfish volunteer service. And it's that feeling of being unselfish or selfless that, if we really believe that, can get us into trouble. John, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, so that service, quality of service plays a big part, I think, in understanding this phrase, or at least making good use of it for oneself. If you're not in good shape, you're not going to be able to perform good service.
Other comments?
Yeah, I agree with John. I think this is a good motto, but only when for a person leading a balanced life. If it's taken to an extreme, then the self really gets second place, and the self, like the person getting the drop down oxygen mask, won't be able to serve others.
Yeah.
Right. The sometimes we follow blindly, like good little sheep, phrases and logos and mottos that we've heard, and it's good. We mean it in a positive way, but sometimes people that are new to it might interpret it literally, and so we have to be very careful as leaders how we say what we say. Another thing that I've heard a lot in Rotary conferences is about the time that I drank the Kool-Aid. And people say that with a badge of honor of when I drank the Rotary Kool-Aid. And that one really rubs me the wrong way, because
Really.
you know where that phrase came from?
Jim
Those people
Jones.
die.
It's not a positive thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be going around bragging that I drank the Kool-Aid and committed suicide because my cult was, going downhill. So, we have to be careful what we say as leaders, because people do hear them and they might interpret them. So anyway, there you go. So
Yeah.
instead of, John, you started to say something?
I was just agreeing.
Yeah, well, everything has a two-way street on that thing, like service above self. It is a lot for the self, and it is a lot for, you have to remember the other people. It's like, I always think, I am one in a million, but I'm a dime a dozen. I'm special, but I'm no more special than anyone else.
Uh-huh.
It's,
But
Yeah, yeah.
when you say it that way, it's like, yes, I'll follow you wherever you want to lead me, especially since you live in California. But, you know, when we just blindly say, hey, we're service above self, buck up, get
Mhm.
over it, you know, keep calm.
We're
and
service
keep
of self,
on.
but don't kill me. Yeah.
Right, right. You know, we just have to think on purpose.
Mhm.
So one thing that is very important, and I've found this in my business consulting, I talk about a lot, is to focus on the team first. You know, your volunteers, your club members are what provides the service to the community, the world, whatever you're doing. Oops, did somebody else come in? Let me look. Jim Polk did. Okay. So focus on the team. As the leader, you have to focus. You have to understand where your own stressors are, but you also have to focus on your team stressors and notice other people's moods. You know, there are some people when you ask them, hey, how you doing today? And they say, fine. That means fine. That's a good thing, right? There are other people, if you ask them, hey, how you doing today? And they say, fine, there's a problem. Do you know the different people I'm talking about? Some
Yes.
people are always effusive. Oh, I'm great. Everything's wonderful. If they say fine, that's something wrong. But other people are more pragmatic. And if they say fine, that means fine. So you have to know the difference of all your people because they're all individuals. And notice each one of them's mood and call out that when you see, you know, if you see them getting exhausted, if you see them getting grouchy, you know, when they usually aren't, when you see them fidgeting more or tensing up or their shoulders are slumped, you know, notice those kinds of things, those body language signals that tell us when people are getting burned out. And then develop pressure valves. What might I mean by that?
A little escape in the middle of the meeting kind of thing.
Maybe. It might be different for everybody. What else? Anybody else have an idea what that might mean? What's a pressure valve that might work for burnout?
Offering up, to me, it's offering up, opening up the conversation to what's really important and just has to be done and letting the other things go. That seems to be something that I'm seeing in our Rotary Club. If we let ourselves, we can get so worked up about a flyer that goes out that takes more time to develop than the actual event. And you know, having it go around and 20 emails back and forth between a group of 4 or 5 on a flipping flyer that's going out, that's guaranteed burnout to most, but not one who's passionate about the flyer. So
So could then you do a
True.
subcommittee for flyers?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and get those 4 people just to kill each other? No.
Right.
Anybody else have a good example of a pressure valve?
Yeah, going for a walk or working out at a gym, something like that, just to get that that stuff out of my system.
Yeah.
That helps me to get back to center, pretty much.
When I worked at a bank as a loan officer, this was in the early 80s when the prime rate was up at 15%. Loans were like, it was bad. Loans were defaulting. We were doing a lot of repossessing. We had a lot of burnout as loan officers. Well, banks at that time used to have these little rooms. They were soundproof, tiny rooms, like a phone booth size of a room for a safe deposit box. So you could take your safe deposit box in there and, you know, count your fortune or whatever. But they hardly ever got used. People just open up their box and get out their passport or whatever they were doing. And that was all they wanted to do. So we decided to name one of those rooms a screaming room.
Primal screams.
That was a pressure valve. You know, excuse me, but I'm going to go into the screaming view. And you could go in there and you could scream your lungs out, and then you come out with a smile on your face. So, you know, be creative, come up with something fun. And
And when you just felt like this guy is going to drive me crazy, you went over and you punched that bag.
yeah, yeah. And then somebody on that TED talk I saw, she said, just tense your body up as much as you can. Tense it up from the toes up to your head. Scrunch your shoulders, clench your wrists, grit your jaw, you know, grit your teeth for about like as long as you can. And then when you let go, you do sort of relax from that. So, you know, talk about ways to relieve the pressure without just saying, oh, go relax, because relax isn't going to necessarily work. So develop, you know, talk about it in a fun way, make it a fun thing, you know, get yourself a screaming room. It's a human need, you guys. This is, you know, and as leaders, we have to recognize it. Okay, now where's my little cursor go? Hello? Okay, fine. So as leaders, we have to support our members. We have to carry them through when they can't handle anymore, when they're so over it. I sang in a barbershop quartet for several years. And do you know that sometimes when barbershop quartets go out and perform, one of them might not be feeling well. One of them might have a hoarse voice. One of them might just have been up all night because their dog died. I mean, all stuff happens, right? We're humans. And what we decided as our quartet to do when life happened is to cover each other. And, you know, somebody would sing a little louder their part and put a little more energy in it to it that was maybe usually my part when I was in that situation. So, you know, you talk about this is going to happen. Let's talk about how we can cover each other. We're going to try to notice burnout in each other so that we can talk about it and pull it up on the table, and it's a real problem. So my summary is treat ourselves like humans. This is rocket science, you guys. This is really deep. So I want you to take notes. Treat each other like humans. And then, of course, remember why we're in Rotary. Focus on the service. One more quote for you.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
isn't it true?
Who is Najwa Zebian?
I looked it up and now I can't remember. Sorry.
I'm a smart guy.
It's probably an expert in memory.
Probably an expert in stress
Yeah.
or a yoga teacher. I don't know. But if we do it right, we can re-energize our people. We can rekindle the reason that they joined Rotary. Keep that reason, the why. Every training program that I've been to for Rotary and for others is always to focus on the why. Why are we here? Let's not get bogged down in the minutia of what that flyer looked like. You know what? Tomorrow, nobody's going to remember what that flyer looked like. So, you know, choose your battles, choose your stresses, and remind your people in your club to do the same thing. So that's the end of that program, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I want to look at all you smiling faces. So here's my first question. What is your, I want to go around the room and ask you, what is your symptom of burnout? What is your sign? Y'all have signs of burnout. What's yours? Bev, you got a sign you can share? What happens to you when you're starting to feel burned out?
The biggest thing is probably I walk away. I find myself procrastinating on everything, not just one thing. And so I just walk away from everything and shut down, and it's not very productive.
Thank you. Bruce, are you able to talk? No. Jim Polk, what's yours? What is your sign of burnout? What are we gonna look for so that we know you're getting on the edge? Oh, Bruce said he'll take naps.
No, I just, that, when I'm looking that way, it means I'm done. I'm over. It's finished.
When you're looking which way, give us the look. Oh, okay. And Bruce Reese said he takes naps. So, and that's a fair one. Let's see. How about you, Angela?
Well, for me, I know that at a club level, not with work, but at a club level, sometimes you're just like going uphill so much. And I know like sometimes those numbers just really don't pay off. And so, I'm really burnt out when I'm just like, what's the point? Where I know I have to get reconnected to some service because I've always had a tendency to just be in the background of the club, just tinkering away and DAC-DB and things. And sometimes I'm like, I need to go do some service. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it out of it.
Good point. Raymond, how about you?
My sign of it is reverting to sarcastic humor.
Aha.
Yeah. Yeah. And only looking at the finish line and then thinking, okay, then it will be all okay, but there's always just another race. So that doesn't work out. So I think for me, avoiding that is prioritizing what really is necessary to do the task at hand, the service project at hand or whatever. And then letting all the other things go unless somebody else finds it to be so important that they want to pick it up themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But,
thank you.
I do think this is an important subject. I notice our biggest dropout rate from burnout is everybody that just became was a vice president, president, and then a year after that, if they don't quit, you just don't see them again, and they just pay dues. So it's an obvious thing. Our biggest group of non-participant Rotarians in our club is actually the people that just went through a big 4 or 5 year push of doing what we're all doing. And then I don't, except for Michelle Corradetti and Chuck Root, longtime, very dedicated, all the other presidents and vice presidents have left.
There were probably some symptoms there, I'm
Right.
guessing. And somebody in leadership roles was probably asleep at the switch, taking a nap like Bruce, that we didn't notice and we didn't call it out and we didn't address it until it got to the point now they don't participate at all. And that's sad because in a way we've squelched or we've let them squelch, or we've allowed the squelching of their enthusiasm.
Right. So
John?
our long-term Rotarians seem to be the ones that just sort of come to the lunch meetings, but don't really go further with that. And those Rotarians have been members for decades. But the members that join, get real active, come on the board and do it, then we lose them.
Yeah.
After they've done their big service, we lose them. So this is an important subject.
We're missing something, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
John, what is your symptom of burnout? How can we tell?
Irritability.
Oh,
The
I was
least,
gonna say that's, I was saving that one for me. I get grouchy.
yeah, I do too. And I do things that I regret or fail to do things that I should have done. And anyway, it's a surefire signal. I got to do something. Stop this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, how about you?
I think I've gotten kind of sensitive to this the older I've gotten. One of the things I do when I'm really getting burned out is I eat a lot of ice cream. I also notice when I'm walking the dog that it's like I'm on this race instead of walking slowly. And this morning was a good example. Before we had the meeting, I noticed my pace was really picking up, and I thought, I don't think the dog's enjoying this. And I started thinking, more about the shade from the trees and the breeze blowing through the leaves and just slowing the pace down. So I start spinning my wheels really bad when I'm getting
Wheel spinning.
really get worked up about the smallest things.
Sharon, thank you, Joe. Sharon, how about you?
Yeah, irritability, eating, all of the above, really. It's you get tired. Yeah, I find myself just getting tired, basically. As they say, take naps, but it doesn't help. You're just going,
You wake up and it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah. But
Jill won an award at the district conference.
I did. I've been sitting here listening to everybody, and I agree with Sharon that it's really kind of all of the above. But I think what I try to do, because I get real anxious when I feel abused, I guess, used and abused. Because I'm one of those people that think I need to volunteer for everything. Well, I don't. And so I remove myself from that mindset and I focus on something new. And it might be something as small as, okay, I'm going to clean out my closet this week. And God knows I need to do that every week, but I just try to find something of interest to take my mind off of being burned out. And it usually works. And then I calm down, I'm less anxious, and jump right back in the pool.
Back in control.
Yeah.
so you put one more thing on you to get yourself out of that.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. It's something I want to do. And it's usually.
And it's something that feels good when it's done.
Yes. And it's usually something I want to do for myself, or it's like closing an escrow. When you close your escrow, you close up the file and you file it away. It's done.
Yeah.
With Rotary, the doors are always open. So, I just
Yeah.
try to do something finite.
Okay.
Good and true. Angela also just put in the chat, scrolling on social media. Oh, we can waste it. That's a good way to escape. Nobody said drinking heavily, or there's all kinds of inappropriate ways that we can handle our stress and our burnout or our potential. But just from the number of different examples we had in this meeting just now, what about your club? What about each individual member? What might you be noticing, or what have you noticed that you might think now, hey, maybe I should have said something. Maybe I should have said, are we pushing you too hard? Would you like to get off of this project and only focus on, what could we have done with somebody that you witnessed in your club that was displaying some symptom of burnout? What could you have done? Who wants to start?
I'll start. I wanted to bring up an example from my own club, and it was the gentleman that was president before I was. And once I took over as president, he never showed up again. And it really hurt me because I was like his biggest cheerleader. I mean, I kept him organized and, worked my tail off for him for 3 years. And so I called him and I said, Jim, what's going on with you? How come we don't see you at the meetings? And point of his not attending was because he was no longer president, he was no longer in charge. He just didn't want to be that person that just sat there. So I think to Raymond's comment about losing the officers that have been working so hard for 3-4 years, sometimes I think that's all it is. And he ended up joining the internet club. He's still a member of Rotary, he's still working hard, but he just didn't want to not be president anymore.
Well, it might be
That's
true
interesting.
that some people, after they've been, you know, extremely busy with our club, it isn't all or nothing. And they still want to feel like they're contributing. So, you know, maybe a switch of pace, like the Interact Club, you know, helping with that would be an ideal thing. But how do you find that out? You ask them, right? You talk to them, you know, first you notice, hey, I haven't seen you. John, you started to say something.
Oh, I was thinking about, Jill mentioned the president from last year, and which made me think of the president from our clubs last year. And he definitely went through some hard times, but I had no idea what to say to put him at ease or help him see that he was showing up like that. He did pull himself out. There were a couple of meetings where I thought he was on the verge of a heart attack because he was so upset by how many things he wasn't getting done, and that he was, you know, he'd come kind of not as carefully attired as he usually is, but he pulled out on his own. I took that to heart when I became president and thought, I don't want to get into the same place that he was, and thought through it quite a bit while I was watching him go through it. I think sometimes for some, here's that, you know, it's different for different people. Some people would really benefit from receiving a phone call or email saying, I see that, you know, things aren't very good. Others would resent it.
Right.
You know, yeah.
One of the people in our club is an advocate for mental health. He's been suicidal and he works a lot in that area of focus. And he says, one thing you don't want to do with a person that seems like they've got some, you know, suicidal instincts, for example, is to go up and say, what's wrong with you? You know?
Yeah.
But, and another thing that you wouldn't want to say is, hey, is everything okay? And then, you know, dance off to your next person you talk to. But to focus on them and say, how are you doing? Are you are we pushing you too hard? Are you pushing yourself too hard? Is there something that we could do differently to keep you feeling not better? You know, what you're trying to do is not make judgments.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good at it. So you can tell me I'm struggling with what to say there, but it's just something that I throw out there to make you think about that of, you want to call out that you noticed that you seem tense today. That would be something that's very factual, or, you know, anyway, something like that, anyway, dug myself in a hole there. Bev Walker, how can we support you? Bev, elaborate. I've got to go deal with a kitty issue, but elaborate and I'll be right back.
Well, our last president was Steve Rowe, and he sort of took a break. A lot of things happening in his life at the moment when he stopped being president, but he took a break too. And I think it sounds like we all need to figure out how we can support the ex-presidents before they're the ex-presidents. And I don't know whether, like somebody said, vice presidents. We don't have necessarily vice presidents in our Rotary, but we have the president-elect, and maybe if that's one of their jobs, we make it one of their jobs to say, how are we supporting our president? I don't know. I don't know how that looks, but I think asking the question, how can we support you in some way, however that looks. Because it sounds like it's a problem in every Rotary. My husband was president a couple 5 years back or something, and he has stayed active but I know he had burnout. But yeah, so I don't know how to make that right,
Well, I think that one thing I've learned from all of this and from my friend who's been suicidal and our RI president elect, Gordon McAnally, his brother committed suicide, is just allowing each other to be human and to acknowledge those, and really caring when you ask, are things okay? Can we be doing something different? We're all trying to make an impact in our world, and that's what Rotarians do, but we have to keep ourselves healthy and each other healthy. We have to be a good support structure for each other. To be able to do that, we have to keep our oxygen on ourselves first.
I wonder, when you think about having a president-elect be assigned to make sure your past president is okay. Because if I was in that situation, I would say, oh yeah, I remember I was told to do this 2 years ago to my guy. And so this would be just something like somebody's there to say, how are you? Yes. Yeah. Like you care. But I could see someone like my dad's organization when I was growing up. He was in Masons, and they always had a chaplain, and a chaplain would care about everybody. And it would seem better coming from someone like that, rather than it's just part of your job to come see me,
So you need somebody in your club that has a title of one who cares.
Yeah, something like that. Well, no, but
no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, not even have to give them a title, but just yeah.
But actually, it would be good if we were all that way.
Yeah, hopefully that would be wonderful.
That would be, that would be something.
This question is one of the top things that I think give thought to in my role. It is an excellent. If there is one job for an assistant governor that needs to be taken most seriously, is developing relationships with president-elects. And part of that is making sure that they understand that you're there to support them. And you won't, that only happens if you make the phone calls, if you have the coffee, if you go out for lunch and develop that credibility. You become, as an assistant governor, not only the person who's got answers to questions and problems, but also a supporter and someone that the PE, when they become president, can feel has some credibility, some street cred. When they're called, for instance, this time of year, and asked, how are things going? What's going on, Joe? How is this year working out compared to what you expected at the beginning? And I hope that this begins like in March or April, that AGs reach out to the club presidents and help them refocus and short circuit that tendency that a lot of club presidents have to feel like this year is not working out the way I planned. And they feel so stressed.
Well, and they start spinning wheels, like Jill said. We're all got so many demands for our time and our attention.
They really need to let go.
Stop and be a human.
They need to feel they have permission to let go of the unreasonable parts of that. And I love that idea. But the other thing I feel is really, really important is that when a PE starts their year, they have in mind somebody, either the AG or somebody else in the club, that's going to be their go-to contact when they're feeling overwhelmed, and that they have permission to do that.
Good. Let's
Yeah,
see,
everyone-
Bev has her hand up, and right after her, John does.
The comment about connecting, that Joe said about making time to make lunch or have lunch with somebody. I think our presidents that have done that in the past, have really, they, as a membership committee chair and all that, it's been, so helpful that for those people to touch base with me and say, how's it going? And are you burned out, or what can I do for you? And that's been really a good thing, touching
That
base.
human to human connection, we realize how much we lost during COVID. And it's really important that we jump back into it
Yeah.
because it's really important. I think that was redundant. John.
Yeah, I had the good fortune of having a PE who started preparing for that, for those difficulties that she expected when she would become president. She started doing this right after pets. And she's,
Good.
her motivation was different, which was there was a lot of things there that I have not seen, that I'm not familiar with. She wanted to get started early. She got started in March to own those processes herself, which was I welcomed that as less burden, but it also established a relationship by which when she is president, she'll have me to go to talk through the things that she didn't quite get. I thought Joe's comments were fantastic. That's really good. Thanks.
Thank you both. Jim, you got any insight you can share? Oh, you unmuted, then you remuted.
Well, I'm trying to get caught up before I got the rest of the day busy, but no, not really anything else to add. You take your chances, and yeah, the sit down and talk to people, take them to coffee.
That's something that I really learned when I joined the local Chamber of Commerce's, when I revamped my business and charged it back up, that they do a lot of one-on-one meetings. Where you just say, hey, John, I don't know you very well. You want to go to coffee? And at first it was over Zoom, or now it can be, actually meeting at a coffee shop, or whatever, or going to lunch. And that is so beneficial, and it feels warm and fuzzy on both sides, and it makes working together a whole lot easier. It makes being human a whole lot easier, and it makes understanding and noticing other people's body languages and their symptoms a whole lot easier, so that we can reach out and they know we're not just saying, hey, how you doing today? That they know that we really care.
Because when you made time, you wanted to make time in your life for them. It makes them feel important. And you're not doing things just to make them feel important, but it's a very nice byproduct.
Right. And they are important. Right? How many of us as leaders want to be the only one in the club trying to, how are you going to leverage your skills and your money all by yourself? You can't. Raymond, do you have any thoughts as you're preparing for tonight? Any sage words of wisdom?
Well, it's funny you asked that today, because yeah, it's a big event, and I guess all I can say is I had a good team to help planning with it, that I was able to delegate off of. And when I did feel that people felt that what they were having to do with their time wasn't critical, to give them a pass and help support them in letting the little things go and just focus on the big one, on the big thing.
It's going to be a great event.
It is.
The bottom line, it's going to be a great event.
Yeah, but I think helping our fellow Rotarians find the relief valves and whatever works for them has been key.
It wouldn't be a bad program to take something like this to your membership and get people talking about what are their symptoms of burnout. Get them talking about that. It will help you notice them better. And people will share, like you guys, none of you guys were too shy about sharing what your own burnouts is. And if we understood that about each other, we could work together better. Instead of just saying, what are your talents, John? You look like you're a good detail guy. I need a detail guy. You know, that's good to know, but we also have to know the flip side of how do I notice when you're struggling and how can I help? What kind, do you want me to come in and say, hey, you look like you have a headache, you know, or you're having a bad hair day or something like that today. You know, some people need some comic relief. Some people need some care and concern, a pat on the back, you know, everybody's different. And so it's one thing I love about leadership. It's not a one size fits all. And as I got written up and criticized for saying at PETS in one of my programs that I facilitated, leadership is not for wussies. And I'm sorry I used the word wussy, but I use it again because it's not for wussies. Okay.
Right.
Wasn't
Good for
exactly
you.
a swear word, but somebody found great offense to that. It's like, oh, well, that's me. You want sophisticated? Don't get me.
Wow.
Any other closing comment? Whoops, it's 11 o'clock. I guess not.
Okay.
Anything burning? Otherwise, I'm going to end the
I have
meeting.
one quick question.
Okay.
Christine, are you going to continue on as district membership next year?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
But then the year after that, I've got to start focusing in a big way on what a district governor means. And I've been doing a lot of personal training and development, finding out what the whole grant process is. That's my focus these days. But several of you have expressed interest in being on a membership council going forward, looking like what should membership look like in the years down the road for district membership. I'm having a little fight with SurveyMonkey right now. Otherwise, I would have surveyed you all to see a time that you might want to come to a meeting and let's brainstorm and just focus, not one of these forums, but just focus on what does district membership need to look like. And so I'll keep you in the loop through these meetings, but you'll probably hear from me as far as that goes. So anything else, I'm going to stop then. Thanks you guys for coming.
See some of you tonight at Medford's 100th.
All
You
right.
will.
Have fun, Raymond.
All right,
Bye.
great. Chris,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
Raymond. See you tonight.
Okay.
See a bunch of you tonight.